into what is distraction? Distracted to death. I call this distracted to death because I feel like when you are distracted so much, what happens is things die. They don't come to fruition. So that everybody get a chance to at least listen somewhat to Death by Distraction by Pastor Stephen.
I shared
So that was such a great message, right? Did everybody enjoy? Huh?
What church was that?
Elevation Church in North Carolina. Yeah. I thought, and just a lot of what he shared, I'm going to be going over, but you would love to listen to him give his message because he is he and I am I, and it was just great. His delivery of it was great.
Just the whole depth, just the way he explained what it meant, like.
And that's what I was just about to say.
Like, say no more. Like once he said that,
the definition of distraction, of course, comes from the root word distract, and it means to divert attention from something. And of course, the origin is late Middle East, and it's also in the sense of to pull in different directions. And so all of you, when you watch it, there's this picture where when they would kill people, they would tie like one hand to one horse, another hand to another horse, and each foot to two other different horses. And they would literally rip the part, like make each horse go in different direction, but it was called distraction. So you think about it, your body's going in all these different directions until it's torn apart, until it's pulled apart, until it dies. So, like you said, just the image of that.
Distraction is torture.
It's torture, right? But the image of that's exactly what we do to ourselves. But
why would you put that in my head?
And he apologized. He's like, I knew that was barbaric. But
oh my gosh.
But think about it. When you think about all the different ways that you're being pulled in different ways
At the same time.
at the same time,
you can't survive that.
it was such a good illustration for me.
I mean, I get it.
Not that I'm, trying to like death, but it just made sense. And it's not a real person. It's a drawing, so it's not like. But
just the thought of it.
Yeah, because when he said it, I was like, but I get it though.
And the thought that people used to kill people like this,
yeah, right. Do you think I get distracted by that?
Okay, right. Like clearly we about to go off agenda right now, right? But like I said, I thought it was powerful. I thought it was definitely like got the point across. And so I love that, and even the fact that the definition just reinforced that that's where the word comes from, or means and how they used it. So the first question I wanted to ask was, why are we distracted? Well, in John 10:10, the Bible says the thief comes only in order to steal, kill, and destroy. And he talks about that this is why we're distracted, and that's why the title was Distracted to Death, or Death by Distraction, because Satan, our enemy, comes to steal, to kill, and destroy all of the things that God will have us to do. And so he does that by pulling us in all these different directions so that we can never fully do what God is trying to get us to do, or what we desire to do. I also was looking at Ephesians 6:11. It says, put on God's whole armor, the armor of a heavy armed soldier which God supplies, that you may be able successfully to stand up against all the strategies and the deceits of the devil. In some translations it says the wiles of the devil. And the reason I put that scripture in here is because we don't know how Satan works, then we can't war against him. And so, one of the things that a lot of sports do is they watch the opponent, so they can say, well, what do they do, or how do they do it, and I feel like that's the same thing. Why we gotta know why he's doing it, we gotta know how he's doing it, so that we can war against him, so that we can fight against it, and we can actually win, and we can be aware. Once we're aware, then we can work on it. So the second question is, how do we keep ourselves from being distracted? Matthew 13 is the parable of the seed, or as Pastor Steven said, probably should be called the parable of the soil, because it wasn't about the seed, it was more so about the soil. So, the 4 different ways that the enemy comes against us is, 1, this is all part of his message. He snatches the seed, and when it's snatched, we never ever know what it could have been. Number 2 is that sometimes the seed is scorched, and it has the appearance of life, but it has no root and it has no commitment. Number 3, sometimes it's choked. It's choked out by the worries of the world, and I thought it was so key how he said it is not the worries about things that are happening, but about the interpretation of what's happening. I think also sometimes we get worried about what isn't happening.
Yeah.
But again, the answer, stay focused. If we're focused on what is happening, then we can't be choked by the worries of what isn't happening or what we perceive to be happening. And then last, sabotage. The enemy plants seeds. No, but I'm like, why did I put this here? Anyway, so.
No, that was right. He talked about he'll plant something next to. He'll plant weeds next to the wheat.
Yeah, but
so I don't know why they'll spring up. You don't know which is
No,
which.
I'm looking at the heading. I think what I meant to ask is, how do we get distracted? I think that question is, how do we get distracted? You see what I'm saying? I'm like, why did I put that there?
Okay.
So, right now we're talking about the
you put it
different
twice.
ways. Yeah,
Gotcha,
you see what I'm
okay.
saying?
Keeping ourselves right.
Right. How do we get distracted? Because these are the ways that Satan comes and distracts us to take our seeds. So number 4 is sabotage. The enemy will plant weeds with wheat. And the error in this is that these things take away our ability to recognize our destiny. So they're growing with the things that we should have. And so now we can't tell the difference between what we should have or what we should be doing from what he has planted there with us. And I thought that was really, really good. Again, knowing the wiles, knowing the wiles and the deceits of the enemy, knowing how he works. He's trying to get us to look at what should not be there, instead of looking at the other stuff that's growing that should be there and being productive in that, you know, and he distracts us. So, now, how do we keep ourselves from being distracted, or at least for too long anyway? Because it's inevitable. We will get distracted, but I think, like I said, if we're aware, then we'll know how not to let the distraction last as long as it could. Jesus was speaking to the people when, behold, his mother and brother stood outside, seeking to speak to him. Someone said to him, "Listen, your mother and your brothers are standing outside seeking to speak to you." But he replied to the man who told him, "Who is my mother? Who are my brothers?" And stretching out his hand toward not only the 12 disciples, but all his adherents, he said, "Here are my mother and brother, for whatever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother." That comes from Matthew 12:46-50. I thought it was a great example. Again, that was the example that Pastor Steven shared. But then also, when you all get a chance, in Nehemiah, he was like up on a wall, and I didn't get a chance to read the full story, but I know just from past conversations about conversations and teachers, he had something to do, and they kept trying to get him to come down. And specifically in Nehemiah 6:3, he was like, "I'm not coming down." He was like, "No, I'm not coming down." And so in both of those instances, what I saw, the 4 things that I saw was, 1, they knew where they came from. 2, they knew where they were going. 3, they knew what they were doing. And 4, they knew why they were doing it. I feel like when we keep those in our mind, those 4 things about whatever it is that we're doing or supposed to be doing or want to do, that those are fail-safe ways to refocus and not to be distracted. How may I assist you? Yes. Why are you coming and asking me what I already told you?
Because I was making sure.
Goodbye. Thank you. So,
And that was an example of a distraction.
distraction. Right. What I want us to do is I want us to practice this. Well, before we go, does anybody have anything to say about what we just went over, Pastor Stephen's message, anything like that?
I do.
Okay.
And about keeping yourself from being distracted, one of the things I've personally been doing and working on, determined to get there, is being mindful. One of the forms of therapy, just literally knowing, paying attention to this moment, this time, this second, and just really taking in what's going on at this moment. Whether I'm in the car, I'm not thinking about what I gotta do when I get home. I'm in the car. I'm staying in the car. My mind is not, I'm not there yet. I don't need to think about something if I'm not there. Let me focus. Let me focus right here, right now. And it's hard because those thoughts come in and race me. And it's okay because I mess up some days. But just doing it over and over, just the past 2 weeks, is just keeping me in this moment, in this time. If you're having a like I just done it now, and I was like, what? No, let me shut it and focus on what's going on right here. I don't need to worry about anything else. I don't need to focus about anything. Because I can't do anything while I'm sitting here, so why worry about it? Why? And that's when those thoughts and those, distractions are coming in, because you're thinking about 101 different things when you're just here in this moment.
I think that what you're saying speaks specifically to number 3, how it says that the seed is choked out by our worrying, because we're worrying about our perception of things, or we're worrying about things that are happening, what we think are happening, or what we think aren't happening. And I think it's cool that you mentioned that, because what's funny is, in a series of events, situational events in my life within the last couple of months, I had been going through number 3, where I was like, oh Lord, I don't know, is it going to be like this? What's going to happen? And he was like, experience it. That's what he said to me. He was like, chill out and just experience it, And it was so like what you're saying. Like, I wasn't freaked out at all once I just, paid attention to what was happening versus being so, trying to be, proactive about what I thought was going to happen. You know what I mean? So I think that's super cool that you brought that up.
I think even with number 4, it made me think about we have so many good ideas and stuff like that. So there's a difference between a good idea and a God idea. And we have to know the difference between. I thought about that the other day because I was like, I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm like, are these just good ideas? Or is this something that I'm really supposed to be doing or whatever? But I mean, it's hard to differentiate because it's every good thing, every good idea you have, oh, that's good. I'm just gonna go.
And you feel like it does come from the Lord on some level, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm gonna go do that, and then it's just like you invest all this time in, and then it just doesn't.
Fizzles away.
Yeah, it's amazing how distraction, how you have to choose with that, because I'm a person who has a gazillion ideas, and it's you have to decide. It's part of distraction is avoiding distraction is choosing.
Yes.
If you just choose a thing, then it eliminates everything else. That's a possibility just by focusing on the one thing, and that's.
Let me tell you something that you just reminded me to say. I forget where it was, but just recently, and I've been using it. I've been repeating it a lot. But every yes is a no to something else. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, like you said, if you just do something frivolous, what are you saying no to?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you are making a choice.
You're choosing,
right. And you're unchoosing some other things in your choice to do this, right?
Exactly.
So like you said, choice is so powerful.
It is.
Because for every yes, you're making a no
several
somewhere.
no's, right? Exactly.
I'm
not going to do any of this today. All these are great ideas, but I'm choosing.
And when you can be powerful in your choice, You know, that you're actively saying that I'm actively saying no to these things because I'm saying yes to this, versus just like, you know, lollygag saying yeah, and then you're like, oh man, I said no to all this other stuff because I said like that makes it different.
It does, and I think too, like some of the other exercises we've been talking about, and even like this, like knowing where you came from, where you're going, like the self-awareness keeps you from being distracted. You know, like if you feel like for example, if I just wrote here, I would have even remembered about community, right? So now it might be some other ideas that are out here, but then if something else is dealing with unity and race, it's like, well, I'm gonna choose that, because that's what I want in my dang obituary, even though I think this is dope. And, you know, it's like this is what I'm gonna be known for. So I think, but if you don't know that, you don't have that awareness.
That's true.
You're like all over the place.
That's true.